Hey y'all, how are you doing? I'm great. Thank you so much for asking. It's me, Kim, and I am back for another video. Jeez Louise, it's been a long time. But gosh, what have I been doing? Really the big thing that I've been doing is I got surgery 6 weeks ago. We just came up on the 6-week mark. And then before that, I had a birthday, and it was a low-key birthday, but I was anxious about the surgery and I just wasn't feeling great. And so I don't know, it's been a couple months and I've been like, "Oh, I wanna get back to work. I wanna get back to work." But it's so hard to get back to work when you haven't been working. So we're just gonna ease on into it. Do a little easy breezy catch up video. The good thing, oh, and by the way, the surgery I got, I had an open myomectomy. I've been talking about this for so long, and I finally did it. And I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad that it's over, but it was as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I put it off for years because I've never had surgery before other than getting my wisdom teeth removed, which I guess they count as a surgery, and I've never had to stay overnight in the hospital before that, and I just knew instinctively that it was gonna be a horrific, terrifying experience, and I wasn't prepared for that. But the symptoms finally got so bad that I was like, you've gotta bite the bullet and do this." And it was precisely as bad as I thought it was going to be. In the days leading up to the surgery, I had kind of mellowed out. I had zinned out. I'd made peace with it. And I said, okay, we are going to toxic positivity this to death. We are going to use so much toxic positivity that it is not going to be painful. It's not going to be horrific. You're going to be fine. That shit did not work. But I will tell you, okay, not to scare y'all, because what is it? 80% of Black women get fibroids. Um, One, I wish I would have gotten the surgery sooner. It would not have had to be such an extensive surgery. So don't keep putting it off the way that I did. Um, Two, the additional side effects that come from having really large fibroids. I had a fibroid the size of a baby behind my uterus. And I had 10 more fibroids inside of my uterus or attached to my uterus. The other stuff that comes with having so many fibroids is gone. I feel so much better. No more bathroom issues, more energy, um, hair's not falling out. So you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm just being honest with y'all, girl. I am being honest with y'all. It was a nightmare, okay? And I've talked about that extensively. I think I literally did a podcast the day after I got out of the hospital. And that is on my newsletter and on the Patreon behind the paywall. So it was, baby, protect your health, cherish your body, love your body. I'm glad to be here. For real. Okay, so what else has happened? Oh, the other thing is that being away has given me more time to really think about my life and my goals and my plans. I was away for a long time last year because of all that drama happening, that drama. And, that has been publicly resolved. We got some other stuff, right? Um, and so now that I don't have that, like, because when you're in some shit, you're you're doing day to day. It was hard for me to really buckle down and do long-term planning and long-term thinking when I was just thinking like, okay, what's going to happen today? What is he going to do today? What is this crazy person? Like, what is he saying? What is he screenshot? Right. And so now that that is no longer an issue for me publicly, um, uh, I have just been like, okay, Kim, what do you want the next 5 years of your life to be like? Because I turned 35 on March 13th. And I truly, this is so sick, and this is indicative of the delayed adulthood, but I really feel like an adult. Like there was something about turning 35 where I was like, "Oh, I'm a real adult. Like I'm really grown?" And I always felt grown and in control and powerful and empowered. But and like time, what is time? Age ain't nothing but a number. But, all of the stuff that becomes associated with being 35 really hit me and I internalized it, not in a bad way, by the way. Like, I just feel like, okay, you're 35, your shit is for real, you're established, you know who you are. So let's really sit down and think about what do you want the next part of your life to be, and then narrow it down to what do you want the next 5 years to be. I've written out the experiences that I want to have, the conferences I want to go to, the people I want to meet, what my next 5 years look like with my partner, the kind of friend and aunt I want to be, the events that I want to throw, the way that I want to be a better community member in Dallas. Yeah, like it's been really good. The books I want to write, like I've been so stuck on writing this book about aesthetics, and I've just been like, why am I stuck on it? Why am I stuck on it? And I definitely still want to do it, but I just got so much clarity on like, okay, well maybe that's not the first book. Maybe there's another book that's the first book. And I'm so much clearer there. A much easier sell, but also, dude, do I really want to get into it? I don't really care because nobody can steal my idea, right? Like, ooh, how many years ago was it? I want to say maybe 3 years ago. How long has Kevin Samuels been a thing? It was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I got a DM on Instagram from a book editor. And she said, I have a book idea for you. I think it will be perfect for you. I want to talk about it. Do you want to talk about it? And she works at a major book publisher, an editor. And so I gave her the number and I was like, oh my gosh, like it's like a big deal when an editor is reaching out to you. So I gave her my number and we talked on the phone, and I remember because I was sitting in my sister's guest room. I remember exactly where I was because that's how my brain works. And we had a conversation. And her idea for a book was a book about what is colloquially termed the gender wars, right? Like how it's playing out online and what are the consequences of that, specifically from a digital Black feminist point of view. And I remember talking to her on the phone, being so excited that this editor had reached out to me and thinking, oh, I don't want to deal with all the shit that's going to come from that. Like, I think that this is an interesting idea, but do I really want to be caught in the crosshairs? I don't want to have to do that. Well, it turns out I got caught up in that shit anyway. It turns out that she actually could see it before I could see it. She was right. I was thinking at the time, do I really want to spend 2 years delving into this and exploring this? And now we are where we are, and I'm going to spend years in it anyway. So I might as well write that book. I really didn't appreciate then how honestly rare it is for an editor to come to you straight with like no proposal necessary. Like, I want you to write this book. Like, that does not happen. I took it for granted. And so, yeah, like, she was right. Like, and so I have that on my list. Of course, I still want to write about aesthetics, but I've also been doing a lot of reading, particularly about the philosophy of aesthetics. And I just realized there's just so much more that I need to learn. And, I need to go back and read Plato for real and Aristotle for real. And and all of these foundational texts, and that's just gonna take a little bit more time for me. But, life is long, inshallah, right? And so every book that I wanna write will be written, Everything that I wanna do is gonna get done. Okay. Oh, let me go to the, chat. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you, King Nikki. I had to get an early hysterectomy a few years back. It was my first surgery, and it was definitely a horrific experience. Oh, baby, when I tell you, first of all, shout out to my surgeon who I have learned I cannot say doctors' names in public anymore because y'all are crazy. Um, but shout out to my gynecologist who was also my surgeon and her putting up with my craziness, because I was definitely unhinged in the weeks leading up to surgery. I was unhinged in the hospital. Um, my mom was like, I actually had to go back and apologize. My mom was there. My sister was there. Obviously, my partner was there. And I had to go back and apologize to my mom. And she was like, apologize for being mean. And I was like, I don't know if I was mean. It's just like, you were mean. And I was like, girl, I was in pain. But I apologize. I am sorry. I am sorry. Okay? It wasn't me. Because when it's time for the drugs, girl, it's time for the drugs. Don't play around. Okay? That was the first time. I'm never been addicted to any substances. I'm not even addicted to my ADHD meds. I don't feel the withdrawal symptoms that a lot of people feel. But when your narcotics are wearing off and you can feel them wearing off and the pain creeping up, oh, I was probably mean. I was probably a bitch. I'm sorry. I was like, do y'all understand this is an emergency? Am I the only one here who gets that this is an emergency? you know? And shout out to my partner, because he was the main person after I was discharged in home, doing everything. I mean, man, if you really want to, I really feel like if you want to know whether or not you're in a good relationship, you've got to go through a major illness or some surgery. Not that I wish that on y'all. I don't. But that experience of him really going above and beyond, I mean literally grabbing my shoulders and sitting me up in bed, cleaning, cooking, watching me walk around here in a diaper. I'm like, "Oh, we're in it." Oh, we were in it before, but we're really in it cuz you don't even have to be here. I knew my mom was going to be there. I knew my sister was going to be there. I told them not to bring my nieces because I was being mean. I was not in a position to deal with all that noise. All them jokes. What are you laughing for? Okay. Um, but for somebody who 100% does not have to be there, like you saw me in a state I've never seen me in. I've never seen myself fucked up like this. So we're experiencing it for the first time together. That was a big deal. So yeah, we're locked in. Ain't no switching up. That's why I've never ya. Don't mess with my man. I'ma be the one that bring it to you. Um, not for the girls. I'm not fighting girls over my boyfriend, but anybody else. I so appreciate you shouting out your partner for being an excellent caregiver. It is also important in the reserve. I spent 6 months caring for my ex post surgery, and he was absolutely awful to me. Yeah. I mean, I think that I was trying so hard to keep my shit together, but I'm sure that I wasn't keeping my shit together between, the super high dose of naproxen and the super high dose of narcotics. And I was having crazy dreams. I wasn't sleeping because I'm a vivid dreamer anyway, but the dreams that I was having post surgery were so disturbing, like distressing. There were monsters. There was my deceased father. There were like it was I'm like, dude, I don't need this. I don't. Like I'm already suffering. Haven't I suffered enough? So, I wasn't sleeping and I was in pain. It was nuts. It was a hard time for sure. Oh, and the other thing about that is I'm hardcore on Reddit. I'm a Reddit girl now because I'm off Twitter. We'll talk about that later. But the other thing about reading, because I'm on the fibroids Reddit, and I also joined the C-section Reddit because it's a similar kind of surgery. And there are a lot of stories of there about people's partners being great and so attentive and understanding and caring. But there are also quite a few stories on there about people's partners utterly failing them once they're discharged from the hospital. And, obviously, this is a gendered thing. Men are not great generally at being caretakers, right? Like, men are much more likely to leave their female partners when there's a serious illness. Talking to you, David Foster. No, just kidding. um, but I don't take for granted, you know, how good it was. My friend had an operation today at the nurse station. They were talking about someone who died. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, and the nurses, except for one, was so good. The nurses, I talked about this behind the paywall, but I especially, after COVID when it was all the nurses who were like anti-vaxxers and they're like, what the fuck is going on with these nurses? Like, but after being in the hospital and experiencing 95%, well, we're gonna have to bring it to 90% because that one nurse was awful. Um, but after being in the hospital and experiencing 90%, like such great care, I'm like, oh my God, we've got to celebrate the nurses. The nurses need their own day. We've got to throw a parade for the nurses. So shout out to them. I'm just going through. Oh, thank you. Yeah, fibroids free. Hopefully, I don't have to get another surgery. Okay. I don't want to get, this is going to be a surgery, but like, Aubrey, you did not lie. The worst part of surgery is the come down from the anesthetic. Dude, I think my surgery was at 11 and maybe it was an hour and a half, maybe. And I woke up in my hospital room at like 5, waking up in the hospital, unable to move, in pain. Like that was the second worst pain I've ever felt. The worst pain I ever felt was like 6 hours later when I woke up in pain in the middle of the night. Like the the feeling of excruciating pain, but also you don't really know where you are. You can't really form words. This entire setting is completely unfamiliar. I'm like, I can't move, by the way. Oh, that's the other thing. I can't move. It was so it was trauma. It was so traumatizing. And I am a dramatic ass B word anyway, but I do not think that I am being dramatic about this. I cannot believe that y'all get surgery for fun. Like, what's going on? Like, I truly, when I was laying in bed in pain and I realized that I could not move, when I had like a pain in my back that I just wanted to adjust a little bit laying in the bed, and I realized I literally could not move, the horror, the terror, it was nuts. It was nuts. Okay. So yes, that was crazy. What else is there here? Oh, comments about I can't believe yes, I did make it. I'm trying to turn over a new leaf. But yeah, I think that there's all these conversations about these, online movements, and I think that there's a useful story to tell about my experience with the misogynistic online movements. But also, I'm interested in talking to other people, and I think that well, I don't think it's not just me who thinks that. I know that that's going to be a really compelling book project. So, that's going to be a big chunk of the next part, the next chapter. I did not wake up with an intubation tube, but I'll tell you, waking up with a catheter. Wait. What's going on? Wait, what's where? And it's like, obviously, I knew it was going to be a thing, but don't take me back there. Do not, because that was nuts. Whew. Anyways, the good thing is, let's not, because look, I don't want to share this and like dissuade people from getting myomectomies. It was nuts. It truly was crazy. I had an multiple out of body experiences over 4 days. I can't even I remember the day after surgery when I couldn't even stand up straight, could barely walk, was in so much pain, taking me like a IV pole to the bathroom, and I for a second looked in the mirror and thought, "Who is that? Who is that person?" Okay? So, but I want to be honest while also not dissuading people from seeking out medical care, because the other thing is, my doctor was telling me, because of where my large fibroid was located, she was saying like this could have been a much more difficult or not possible for me surgery, because she would have had to potentially call a gastrointestinal surgeon because of where that fibroid was located. And apparently, the tissue from my fibroid was fusing to the tissue of my colon. So, if I had waited 6 more months or another year, I could have been in a position where I get cut open and she gets in there and says, "Oh, I actually don't have the specialty for this. I actually have to make sure that I have somebody whose specialty is this other set of organs here as well. So we've opened you and now we're going to have to close you back up." and you're still gonna have to recover, but you still have fibroids. So yeah, it was bad, but it could have been 10 times worse. 10 times worse. Yeah. So it did take me weeks to feel like a normal person. Now at 6 weeks, I feel good and normal. Yeah. Yeah, I feel normal. I have vowed to not take my health or my body for granted anymore. I got a treadmill over there. I am thinking about I need to sleep on it because I'm trying not to make any impulsive decisions. But I was on the balcony, like, walking and getting my sunlight. And I was like, oh man, I should get one of those steppers. So I'm gonna get one of those steppers. Like, I'm an exercise girl now. That's why I have my exercise girl outfit on and I actually exercised. Okay. So, um, because I also understand that I have to, of course, strengthen my core again, but also just like muscle tone, just like aids in mobility. You don't even think about mobility until you're immobile. I would prefer to be mobile. No ableism. I'm just saying. Okay. I got rid of everything except for YouTube because you can't. Social media is too unregulated and something in the milk ain't clean. It's the cigarettes of our generation and crack epidemic. Okay. That brings us to my next thing. I am off Twitter. I occasionally tweet and I will still occasionally post on Instagram, but I was a Twitter crackhead, totally. No shade to the crackheads. I'm not trying to be offensive. But I absolutely was a Twitter crackhead. I was addicted. I did have a compulsive, unhealthy relationship to it. And I realized, one, that it was distracting me from doing the things that I need to do. But it was also distracting me not just from work, but like in relationships, right? Like, it's crazy, like, when you're with somebody or you're hanging out and you wanna check Twitter, like, that's not healthy. But also, um, I have a lot of thoughts, like, especially, baby, if I ain't taking the dextroamphetamine, it's like thoughts, a mile a minute. And, I'm a brilliant person who has brilliant thoughts occasionally, occasionally. But I can also be an idiotic person who has idiotic thoughts, right? Because I know y'all gonna be like, okay, Amanda Seals. Okay, Amanda. No, I'm a smart person who has smart thoughts, but I can also be a dumb person who has dumb thoughts. And it's great when I can get the smart thoughts off, but is it worth the trade-off of me also getting the dumb shit off, right? Like, like there are times when I know that I've said something interesting and insightful and people take it the wrong way. But there are also times when I look back and I'll be like, oh, I deserve that drag, like, like I'll go back to a tweet and I'll be like, you know what? Y'all weren't wrong. You know what? I had that coming, Um, so the worthy drags are just as distracting as the stupid drags. And any viral tweet, whether it's me saying something smart or thoughtful or insightful, also takes so much energy from me because then I'm like chasing the dopamine of like, oh my gosh, people love my thoughts. People think I'm so brilliant in, you know, 30 words or whatever, that it's like, you know what? You need some peace and quiet. Like, if we're really talking about what the next 5 years is gonna be, you need some solitude. You need some solitude. So I wake up in the morning, I read. First thing, I have an Apple News Plus subscription. I read my books. What books have I read recently? Simulacra in Simulation by Baudrillard. Baudrillard. Um, what else have I read? Oh, it's not a book, but I've been reading stuff about Aristotle on aesthetics, Jean-Jacques Rousseau on the utility of art and drama. But not just like old white people. What else have I been reading? Oh, actually, I write down every single thing I read. I actually don't have to guess. This is my new thing. I'm literally documenting every single thing that I read or that I watch. Yeah. Okay, wait. Let me see. I'm just gonna look at my thing to see what have I been reading recently. Oh, I'm big on the New Yorker right now. It's free if you subscribe to Apple News Plus. The New Yorker has some great long form. Okay, but books reading. Let's go back. Oh, Judith Butler has a new book. Now, Judith Butler is a philosopher, so I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not an easy read. It's not easy. I said, "Oh, Judith," and they go by they them pronouns. Judith, babe, can I read? Did you know that? Am I illiterate and did I not know it? Yeah. So Judith Butler has a new book, and I purchased that and have attempted to read the first chapter, and I will attempt to keep reading it. Judith Butler of Gender Trouble fame. Um, okay. What else? Let me go back. What else have I? Oh, obviously, I've been reading a lot about the campus protests from all kinds of places. You know what the best thing about the campus protests I've read was the Columbia Spectator partnered with New York Magazine and did like an oral history of the protests. That was spectacular. Oh, and you know what? I love the New Yorker and I love New York Magazine. Like those are my favorite periodicals. It's like, is this telling me something? Like, am I supposed to live in New York? I'm not. I'm never gonna live in New York. But I'm like, oh my God, they're really good. Great commentary, great long form journalism from both of those. What else have I? Let me go back. There's things that I have, books that I've purchased that I'm too ashamed to say. Cause y'all don't need to be. Oh, what else? This is not a book, but I did go back and watch Quiet on Set. Okay, what else here? I literally like meticulously document every single thing. There's honestly so many articles. I can't even read off all of the articles. I've been engaging. I listen to the Pivot podcast because, I'm a fake tech girly. And the co-host of the Pivot podcast, Scott Galloway, has a new book that I'm not gonna buy. But I'm also trying to get, my financial life together. And so I've been listening to his interviews about his book, which is like a long-term financial planning and strategy book. I'm not going to spend my money on that book, but I have been listening to the interviews. And one of the reasons why I'm not going to be spending my money on that book is because how are you going to be he said, I'm an atheist. I don't have a religion, but I'm a Zionist. And he's not Jewish. Okay, I'm sorry. This is not that kind of podcast, but like picking up Zionism for fun is nuts. I just think that's nuts. Like, what? For funsies? Okay, I think that's crazy. So, okay, let me go back. Oh, G. Debord. Okay, yeah. So, in addition, I'm sorry, it's another white man philosopher. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get to the foundations, I'm sorry, of Western philosophy with regard to aesthetics and media. So I've been ingesting a lot of white men. Um, McLuhan, The Medium is the Message. G. Debord, The Society of the Spectacle. Baudrillard, about simulacra and simulation. Um, yeah, we've been doing that a lot. Okay, let me go back. Just looking. I watched that. Now this gonna be a segue. I watched the Love and Marriage Huntsville premiere. Carlos, baby, we're gonna talk about that a different time. But okay, so what else has gone? Sorry, I'm sorry. There's just so many, but those are the big ones because I've been thinking a lot about: are we living in reality? Like the Judith Butler book, by the way, is called "Who's Afraid of Gender." That's her new book. Oh, that's their new book. Um, uh, Love and Marriage Huntsville. Okay, it's too scripted. This is off because I'm supposed to be trying to be thoughtful literary Kim right now. Just going back through the things that I've read. Okay, but I have to like say this. Okay, and by the way, like obviously Baudrillard wrote originally in French, and so anything that you're going to encounter if you only speak English is going to be in English, and it's going to be maybe a little bit difficult to get through, but if you have to choose, just read Procession of Simulacra. That's a good chapter. Um okay. There's so much. I'm sorry. I'm a literate girl. I'm sorry. I know how to I read real good. So there's a lot here that I can't get to, but I do want to before we wrap this up because I'm not going to be here all day cuz this is just supposed to be a get used to being back in front of the camera thing. Um Love and Marriage Huntsville. Okay, so I of course have enormous respect for Carlos King. Oh, girl. Okay, you know, for here is supposed to be like serious Kim, but I just have to talk about this because I'm here and I just saw it. Enormous respect. Yes, the Scott Galloway book is called The Algebra of Wealth. Okay. The first episode of Love and Marriage Hunts, it was too produced. It was overproduced. And it's honestly, it's almost to a point where it's like, if you have to produce it that much, do you have a show? You know? And I love Carlos. I really do. I respect him. But even in him inserting himself like that into the show, baby, if you gotta be all up in the videos, something ain't going right. The obviously fake FaceTime call. Who talks like that on FaceTime? Like what? That's all I'm gonna say because this is not the platform for that. That's for the other channel. I'm just saying we've got to. But I have been, of course, I've been watching Martha's Vineyard, Summer House, Martha's Vineyard. Of course, I've been watching The White Summer House. Baby, both of the bravo, bravo. You're doing something. Cause I'm watching the white and the black versions of the show. Both of them are good. Yes, I have thoughts on Normani, Coco, Megan, and Dua. But I'm trying to keep a better bifurcation between the subject matter of this channel. So head on over to Kimberly Nicole Foster. Ooh, the last thing that I'm supposed to say is I do want to do more stuff in Dallas with Black women, or you don't have to identify as a woman, but the girls, and the girls is inclusive. Um, and so there is a link down below. My new thing is I had to start a new group. I had to start a new group for reasons. For reasons I don't even want to talk about. But I had to start a new group because I needed better ways to verify people's identities when I am meeting up with them and hanging out with them. And I think one of the most disorienting things about being an internet person is I am nobody. I think I'm a, you know, smart little bookworm, a dramatic little bookworm, but I'm not famous. Nobody knows me. Like, I'm not. It is interesting the lengths that people go to. It's interesting the length that people go through to be nasty and invasive, despite the fact that I'm nobody. So, with regard to like meetups and stuff, I have had to, if I'm creating these groups, like everybody has to use their real name. Everybody has to use their real name and their real picture. We've got to have some accountability. No pseudonyms. So that's that. But I'm excited to start doing like happy hours and stuff this summer now that I'm like not feeling sad and depressed because my hormones are not messed up anymore. And I'm taking vitamins, girl. I'm taking vitamin D, I'm taking magnesium, I'm taking B complex. Like, after that surgery, I said, body, I will never take you for granted again. Body, I love you, and we are gonna take care of you. Yes, I do plan on going back and finishing up my discussion of the Carmichael show, the Jerrod Carmichael show. I will tell you, after episode 4, the episode with his father, I was disgusted. So over on the other channel, I did a review/analysis of episodes 1 and 2 of Jerrod Carmichael reality show. And my plan was to do a review, recap, analysis every 2 episodes. I felt so conflicted after watching the 4th episode that I said, I got to get to the books. No, for real. I felt so, I don't even know, like, I was really wrestling after watching episode 4. I said, we got to go to the French philosophers because I've got to figure out why I hate this so much, why I'm so disturbed. So I do plan on doing a follow-up because I do now have cogent thoughts. I couldn't get through episode 4. Because whenever I'm, thinking about talking about something, I watch it multiple times. I think that it's important to consume things multiple times so you can have I don't know, a well-rounded view of it. The first time, I was utterly disgusted. The second time, I was disgusted and intrigued, but more like, what's going on here? And then the third time, I was like, there's a whole lot of meta narrative happening. It's a rich text for sure. I love a rich text. Okay, how long have I been doing this? Oh, crap. I thought I was only going to be doing this for I lost track of My timer did not even stand a chance. Okay, yeah, this okay. I can't talk about Summer House, Martha's Vineyard. Episode 4 was crazy. Yeah. Um. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Ooh, you guys are look, I think that I don't wanna get into my, like, thoughtful analysis of it, but, I think that TLDR is Jerrod Carmichael is using cameras to exact revenge, and this series is like and this is hyperbole, I'm so sorry. Um, it's a snuff film, it's revenge porn. Um, and I'm not even saying that as like a, there's things that we can dig deep into, right? Like, there's stuff there to dive into, for sure. But, yeah. Okay. I guess I'll keep this up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Do I have anything else that I want to talk about? Not off the top of my head. I will talk to you guys later. Oh, I have to come over here so I can get a thumbnail. And shout out to my hairstylist. My first outing was getting my hair. Well, no, I got my nails done first. And because, I don't know. I'm a high maintenance negress. I'm sorry. But I'm not sorry. But after surgery, my first outing was I got my nails done, and then my next outing was getting my hair done because that's the kind of girl I am. Okay. Um, that's the kind. Oh, that's TLC. Okay, hat to the back. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.